Chapter 15 of Two Blue Vortex has officially been released. The new Shinju, Ryu, is on the cover page of the chapter. The chapter starts off with us in the sand village. Shinki and his teammates are trapped in Gaara's sand. Shinki asks Gaara why he wouldn't let them fight. Gaara says that he is transporting them out of the fight, and he orders them to escape. In front of Gaara, we see Matsuri, who tells him that they don't matter to her, as she only came to the sand village as she was following Boruto and Koji's trail. She then tells Gaara that if he doesn't do something about his wound, he would die. She then tells him to stop being concerned about the kids. Gaara then says he cannot afford them dying as they are the future of the sand village. Gaara then pushes the kids away from the fight, and a few claw grimes seem to be moving forward to attack Gaara. While being pushed back, Shinki breaks out of Gaara's sand with his iron sand. He then casts a jutsu called Magnetic Particle Barrier Palm onto Gaara, which is a sealing jutsu. He casted this in order for Gaara to be safe, as Shinki then tells him that he is still needed for the sand village's future. A claw grime then sneaks up on Shinki and bites him, which leads to him turning into a tree. But before he loses consciousness, he tells the other two kids to tell Kankuro what happened. Matsuri then walks up to Shinki's barrier with Gaara in it. She says that even though Shinki has become a tree, his sealing jutsu is still active as long as he is alive, and that only he can deactivate it. She then says he is admirable and would make a good teammate as he risked his life to protect Gaara. By the looks of it, Mamushi isn't with Matsuri, so this could mean he is either still in the Shinju hideout or he went to another village alone. We then go back to Konoha, where we see Kankuro and Shikamaru talking. Kankuro explains to Shikamaru how Shinki and Gaara are still alive, and that how Gaara cannot be freed as only Shinki can deactivate the barrier he is trapped in. Kankuro then says that it is best if they restore Shinki first, in order to save Gaara right after. He asks Shikamaru if he knows how to save Shinki, but before Shikamaru answers, he asks Kankuro if anyone has entered the village with the same chakra signature as Shinki. Kankuro then says that there hasn't been anyone like that enter the village. He then asks him to keep an eye out. Shikamaru then answers his question that they are still investigating on how to save the tree victims and will share the information once they figure it out. Kankuro then asks Shikamaru not to tell Tamari about the situation about her brother and step-nephew. Sarada asks Shikamaru if they are going to start seeing more Shinju. Shikamaru says that they might. He then asks Sarada to contact him when Boruto talks to her again for more of his intel. Just when Sarada and Sumire leave the room, we see Koji's frog under Shikamaru's desk. Koji must be listening to the conversation. Could this mean we might get to see Koji give Shikamaru some info next chapter? I doubt Koji would fully trust Shikamaru, but we wouldn't know for sure except for Koji himself, as he has prescience, so it's up to him whether it is a good idea to talk to Shikamaru or not. In the next page, we go to the Shinju hideout, and we see Ryu emerge. Ryu asks whether Ryu is his name, and Jura replies saying that it is the most fundamental piece of information he needs in order to establish an identity. Ryu then tells Jura that he knows him well and is quite taken with it. The name Ryu can mean grain of sand. Ryu senses something and casts iron sand out of his left shoulder. Code makes a return this chapter. Code is spying on the Shinju, hiding in the giant cube that also works as a claw mark. Ryu grabs Code from the cube. Ryu then asks Jura about him. Jura tells him to let him go and explains to him how they should be thankful to him, as they were born because of him. Jura then asks Code why he's in their hideout and asks if he needs their help. Code asks Jura why they are just standing around and not devouring Otsutsuki, being Boruto and Kawaki. Jura then tells him that they do plan on doing that, but they have other concerns taking priority. Those concerns being their instinctual targets, just like how Jura wants to devour Himawari and so on. Jura then tells Code he can feel free to kill Boruto and Koji as Kawaki is enough to be sacrificed. Code then replies that he decides who he kills and that he is the one who will devour the chakra fruit in order to become an Otsutsuki and inherit Ishiki's will. Jura asks Code what would happen if they, the Shinju, ate the chakra fruit instead. Code then wonders if Jura is trying to defy him. Then, he activates karma and tries to attack Jura by putting his hand in a claw mark to appear on Jura's chest. Jura then slices off Code's hand with his tailed beast bullet. While Code is screaming in pain, Jura tells Code how he is grateful to him as he gave the Shinju the ability to think freely. He then tells Code how he is the one who actually lacks a bit of motivation and gives him a task. The task is that he has to kill Boruto and Koji, and in exchange, Jura gives Code the chakra fruit. Code covers his missing hand with a claw mark, and we see Mamushi laughing at him, who says that he feels refreshed seeing Code suffering. This is a callback to when Bug was Code's servant and was scared of him. Moving on, Code accepts the task, just so he can get the chakra fruit in the end. Jura then tells him how he looks forward to see where his destiny leads. Code then tells him to smirk while he still can, as he, Code, will be the one who will have the last laugh. Could this be some sort of foreshadowing? Would it be that Jura might betray Code and try to take the chakra fruit for himself, but Code ends up taking it from him? In the next page, we see Ryu asking Jura if he can kill Code the next time he shows up, and Jura tells him that he can do so, but should prioritize something else. This already gives me enough reason to believe Jura wouldn't give Code the chakra fruit, but I believe Code will be the one to eat it anyway. Jura then asks Ryu who his target is, and Ryu answers that Gaara is his target. Ryu also says that he can release the barrier jutsu. This is not looking good for the Sand Village, especially Gaara. I actually think Gaara might die. In the next page, we see Boruto sitting on Naruto's stone head statue. Kawaki walks up to him. Boruto asks Kawaki if he is alone. Kawaki says he is, but he thinks that Ada is watching them. Boruto asks why he hasn't attacked him yet. Kawaki wants to know why Boruto hasn't said anything about omnipotence, and that how everything is how it is because of Kawaki, besides the Shinju. Boruto says that nothing good would come out of it, as he wants to avoid confusion. He then says that Konoha is still functioning normally and doesn't mind being branded as a rogue ninja. He then adds how he is able to gain unwavering strength thanks to his teacher being Koji in this case, as Koji was the one who taught him abilities he would learn in the future sooner. Kawaki asks about Momoshiki, whether things have settled with him or not, as he mentions about Boruto running away when his karma was getting activated. Boruto tells Kawaki that 2 years ago, when he and Sasuke fought Code, he used karma for the first time since he left the village. When using it, he sensed that something similar to the feeling he got whenever Momoshiki possessed him. It is a feeling where he stops being who he is and starts dying while still conscious and aware, and hasn't used karma since then. Kawaki asks why it happened, but Boruto doesn't know, but he says that Momoshiki has been completely quiet in the last 3 years, but it's possible that activating karma would cause him to emerge. Boruto then changes the subject to the Shinju and asks Kawaki for his help to beat Jura. Kawaki tells him to not change the subject, but Boruto says that the Shinju come first, and that in case Momoshiki does emerge when the Shinju are gone, Kawaki is free to kill him. Boruto then adds that for either situation, he needs to get a lot stronger. He then tells Kawaki that since he is Naruto's student, he would need to free him and let Naruto train him, but that isn't a realistic option since it would take too long. But Boruto then tells him something that Kawaki himself would have reached on his own sooner or later. He tells Kawaki to talk to Amado, and he has been hiding Kawaki's true power. Boruto tells him that Amado put a limiter on his offensive abilities, but adjusted his defensive and regenerative abilities above maximum levels. While saying this, we see Amado looking at a screen, which has Boruto on it. This shows that Kawaki's right eye serves as a camera for Amado. Amado then asks himself how he found out, but then remembers when he saw through Kawaki that Kawaki was holding a frog that disappeared. He then asks himself whether the toad is the real deal, and says that it is hard to believe that Koji is alive. He then asks what his motive would be in case he is. Boruto then says that Amado needs Kawaki's karma for his own purposes, being to revive his daughter, Akebi. He adds that he messed with his abilities to prevent his death as he thought that Code would attack him. Boruto then tells him to ask Amado in case he thinks he is lying and gets up to leave. But before he does, Kawaki tells Boruto that he isn't changing the fact that Otsutsuki are evil and that they need to be exterminated, including themselves. But he says that they should first start with the Shinju. In the last 2 pages, we see Boruto and Kawaki teaming up in order to defeat the Shinju. This chapter was amazing. I cannot wait for the next chapter. What do you guys think might happen? Leave a comment down below. Make sure to like and subscribe with post notifications on so you wouldn't miss out on other videos. Anyways, that's it from me. See you guys next time.